Hello. Welcome, viewers. I would say welcome back, but this is our first official show. Welcome to Mal&Nat's SisterChat podcast, where today... What's that?
100. This is take
What?
100, but
Take
it's our
100
first official.
seriously. We've recorded, this is our third recording, and we scratched the first two, so we're like,
And they're each like 2 hours long.
we're kind of controversial bees. Let's scratch those. I'm trying to be nicer.
Yes.
So, I kind of doubt that's going to happen. I think our personalities are just not nice.
I don't have a lot of hope, but I have a lot of hope in editing.
Yes. Well, and I'm like, that's our thing, is like, we don't want to be super edited, because it's annoying to listen to podcasts like that.
Yeah, it is.
And it will save us so much time if we don't have to edit. So we're going to try and just be nice. I have decided that I'm not going to say anything about anyone that I wouldn't say right to their face. Like if I were like maybe having a debate or something, but like it's a lot easier to say.
It's okay to disagree, but don't just be vicious.
Exactly. And I'm like, apparently we have vicious in our blood. Last topic. Mean. In our defense, we were a little defensive because we were talking about people who were mean to us. But anyway, we're not going to do that one.
Scratch it all.
Scratch everything. And we're going to talk about Rachel Zegler and the Disney's Snow White, and mostly just Disney. So that's why this one feels a little better, going after that evil company. Then
we can bash Disney all we want.
We can just bash them than actual humans. So anyway, your lighting changed a bit. Does that matter to you? I'm not sure what happened, but
I don't know either.
You turn a light off? Okay, just wondering if you did it on purpose.
No.
Oh, okay. It's fine. It's glowy. Okay. You look lovely, but I just didn't know if it was like you turned a light off, and I was like, no.
No.
Okay, all good. So here's the thing. Before we really start this, I do have to tell you a story, because we were talking about our technology problems, and I couldn't get my mic to work the last 2 times we recorded, and then I found out it wasn't plugged in, so go figure. Anyway, I was wow. I was talking to Corey. He was in his truck, and I was in the van, and we're like side by side. And the window was rolled down in the van. And we just got it worked on. And I was like, oh my gosh, Corey, we have to go get this back in the shop. Dang it, we just spent money on it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, the window just won't roll up. Look, I'm clicking it, and it's not rolling up. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And I was like, right. Anyway, the van wasn't on. And I turned it on, and Corey was
Corey was still there.
Oh no, I didn't say anything, but I like turned it on, and I looked over at him, and his eyes were like Christmas came early. He was like, what? I just had to like roll the window up and watch him laugh at me. I'm like, dang it. So that's about where we're at. That's me when I'm firing on all 4 cylinders, and I woke up at like 3 a.m. for this, so
this will be interesting.
So this will be interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to start us off? I have. Do you want to see my notes? I have all of these.
Oh, cute. Notes. Okay. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you did, because I didn't. I just have opinions in my brain.
I have so many opinions, and last time when we recorded, I was like, why didn't I say this? And why didn't I say this?
And you're right. So, I should write notes.
Yeah.
So
I like to have names, so I'm not like this one guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why I brought my laptop, because I was like, someone. I'm like,
someone. Okay, just trust me. Someone said this. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So I'm Googling. I think what is interesting to me about Disney's remake. So first of all, in my opinion, my humble opinion, all of their remakes suck. Except for
that's not true.
Cinderella.
Not all of them.
Cinderella's amazing. I love Cinderella.
I did
the first one though.
Dive. No, I know. I did a deep dive into why, because I was like, that one sticks out so much, and I have
like woke.
No, I have so much to say about it. So much. Okay. This turned
Say
into like a Cinderella over Snow White podcast, because I was like, la, 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 like
Cinderella
so late.
Versus Snow White.
Yes. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, well, do you want me to dive into Cinderella? It's a deep tunnel.
Maybe we circle back to that.
I don't know if we'll ever know what you're saying. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I really don't like any of their remakes. I think they all suck. They're all like, there's no creativity. Like there, I watched
No, they're dead
the
inside.
Peter Pan one. Yeah, I'm like, someone is dead who's making this.
Yeah. They're
And
just
Peter
like,
Pan was
make sure
awful.
we don't offend anyone.
Oh,
Put the nostalgia in the end. It's so bad.
it was so bad. The entire Peter Pan was like, Wendy's a powerful woman, and Peter needs to be
Oh,
put in his place. The end. And I was like, oh my gosh, this
titled
is like the
Peter
most
Pan. We're all
magical
confused.
like story, and it's okay for little boys to be wild little lost boys. Like that's fun. And they made it.
Yeah.
They're like, no, boys are awful, women empowered. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my
And guess
gosh,
what? Boys make up part of your demographic, you idiots. Like,
50%.
yeah. My
Stupid.
boys, I like how we're like, we're going to speak nicely. Idiots.
Yeah, it's Disney, so we can't.
Okay, seriously, Disney drives me insane. I
Me
have
too.
all these notes on it, but I'm like, if you're gonna brainwash the public, please do it cleverly. You're driving me crazy. Like the stuff they do is so stupid. That I think it must have some deeper nefarious agenda, or they really are so woke they're dumb.
Okay, I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know.
Because sometimes randomly they come out with really good stuff. Like they came out, the Inside Out 2. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
So cute. Like 10
Yeah.
out of 10. I loved it so much. Like it
But
was
that's a
so
recent one.
clever.
Maybe they're listening to feedback,
Maybe.
you know?
Maybe.
Yeah.
It was like so clever, like just not woke at all. Made you think, made you feel emotional, like all the Disney things that you love in a Disney movie.
Okay. Good.
Anyway, so I'm like, okay. And then like I thought the that series that came out, what's his name? He's the magic guy, you know, mythology, Percy Jackson.
Mm.
Anyway,
Is
I
it
thought
on
that
Disney
series,
Plus?
yeah, that series was really cute. I love that. Anyway,
What?
but those two are like the only things I can think of that they put out with that's new that I love. So I'm like, anyway, I don't know the pattern there, who's in charge of what, but they're struggling big time. So the reason I brought Snow White up and why I want to talk about it is because it like broke records for the most dislikes on YouTube for their trailer that they put on, which like cracked me up.
What did Snow White did?
Snow White trailer that they put on for their live action like broke records, like because it has like millions of dislikes.
Oh.
I was like, oh. And if you go to the comments, there's 66,000 comments. I cannot find one positive comment. And I searched and searched.
We gotta find something that backs this up.
Oh my
it's like they're not even appealing to their woke crowd, you know? Whoever they were going for doesn't even like it. So bad.
Well, they've forgotten their entire audience is families. So I'm like, that your audience isn't woke people. I don't know why you're making woke movies.
Yeah,
like it's families with kids. So
they must be out of touch. They must be either that or they're doing the thing they do, which I have noticed this is a pattern. Because remember the 90s when they just like hit you with like PG movies that were like, you're like, what kind of language is that?
Yeah.
And then they like, everyone was like, whoa. And then they scaled it back. And then when they have one or two swear words in like a kid's movie, you're like, oh,
not bad.
It's not the 90s. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I swear that it's a tactic. It's like hit them so hard. And then when you pull back, they won't notice the few things we've changed, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like that's what's going on right now. They're like, we're just going to dump this woke garbage all over their heads. And then when we just put a few little things in they don't agree with, it's going to be like, at least the writing's good. Like, we're at that point now where if the story is even something you can sit through, we're like, yay, Disney. And I swear it's a tactic. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a conspiracy theorist, but I'm like, it seems like a good tactic to me if you want to push things that people are uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
Hit them really hard, and then when you pull back, it's like an abusive relationship. Like they're like super abusive, and then when they're nice, we're like, well, at least it's just a little bit. You know?
It's creepy. Yeah. I think like the other big thing is the race swapping or whatever in all the live actions, which they're like so like everyone's offended because all these old movies are everyone's white, you know, so they're like, oh, we need to have more color, and I'm like, I agree, like we should have more diversity, whatever, but like make new content. I don't understand why they cannot think of anything new. They're like, we have to just make Ariel black, and we have to make, they're trying to make Rapunzel like Indian, and I was like, okay, like Indians are beautiful, that's awesome, but like the entire story talks about how her long blonde hair and she's white and her blue, like that's like is Rapunzel. You can't just change it. It drives me crazy. I'm like, there's this YouTuber that was like,
her whole identity is her hair. Yeah.
There's a YouTuber. She's like, what if we make a live action Tiana? What's that? Princess and the Frog.
Tiana. Yeah.
Tiana. Let's make her
Princess and the
cast.
Frog.
yeah, let's cast anyway, some white actress I didn't know. And like just see what happens, you know? And I'm like, yeah, people would be pissed because she's black. She's supposed to be black.
And that's her
You can't.
identity. Like
Yeah.
it's who she is, and it's part. They bring it up a lot.
It's
It's
her
like
culture. Yeah.
not just her color, but her culture. Like the thing and her history is like these hardworking parents that had to pull her out of. They worked really, really hard so that she didn't have to quite.
Yeah.
She could fulfill her dreams. It really is a really cool story.
Yeah.
And if they would, if they would just stick with that, the problem is though, and you will hear this argument. It's like it is a little different to have a minority who's rarely represented replaced than it is to have like a white person out of a million
Yeah.
white people replaced. Like all the stories are white. So if you
Yeah.
replace one or two, it's fine. And I can see that. The problem is the total lack of creativity. And
Yes.
you're not just replacing somebody's color. You're actually like stomping on culture there because Little Mermaid is like a Scandinavian story or something like that. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense for her to be black. Like they're
Right.
like percentage wise, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
And her whole identity is a red-haired girl, naturally red-haired girl. So
Which
they're
is
like,
so rare.
so rare. And we're gonna put this black girl in and just give
Yeah.
her like a reddish hue to her hair. And I was like, that's
Yeah.
so random, so weird.
It was,
And
yeah.
I actually really loved her singing voice. I thought she was an okay actress. She was cute. Like I wasn't like, oh, she just looks awful. Like she is really pretty, but I'm like, she just didn't look like Ariel. She didn't have naturally red hair.
Yes.
That was so stupid.
And like people started to come down on her hard, like, how dare you be black?
Oh, that's
like
so
everyone
mean.
was like almost bullying her, but she like herself is such a sweet, kind person that almost everyone couldn't bully her. Like they kind of stopped. At least I noticed. Like they weren't like, okay, now it's Disney. It's not you. It's Disney. You know.
Well, yeah.
She just is like she handled it with grace, and she's a kind person, and she's beautiful, and she sings well, and it really wasn't her fault.
No,
I'm not even mad at her. And like, but the problem with Snow White, bringing it back to Snow White, is Rachel Zegler came out and was like just bashed this classic story. Snow White was like, she's so like this whole story is so sexist. I hate everything about it. We are not gonna have a prince. Like this is the dumbest story, and just like we're gonna make it better. And everyone was like, this is a classic and we hate you.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
Yeah. The whole problem with all of that is there's so many things. Because I was thinking about it. I'm like, okay, objectively, is what she said actually wrong? And I'm like, I actually hate Snow White. I hate that cartoon so bad. So I'm like, I can't really blame her for being like, yeah, the girl is like brainless and just like la 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 until the prince kisses her awake. It is kind of it's so stupid. And I'm like, so they are trying to fix that. The problem was somebody told her this is what you need to say. You can tell she has like her little talking points. She says it every time. They all say the same things. She is just in herself not a very appealing person. And I don't know if that's like, I'm trying to say that kindly, as kindly as I can, because I'm like, I honestly don't know if that's just how she comes across, because it could be like, be that she's just like difficult in person to person. But there's some things about her that are she really lacks charm. And if they really wanted to sell this, they'd either coach her or they'd be like, don't say anything. Like, we kind of know your personality. You're really out there, you know? Like, she's very...
I think she's probably just really opinionated.
She's very opinionated, which
is
people
fine.
don't...
Right, I'm like, if you're gonna represent this classic princess, I think Snow White was the first. Was it the first cartoon? I should look that up so we're not idiots again.
I think it was, yes, because it's what made Disney famous. It was
right. That's what I thought.
Yeah, it's what put Disney on the map. So, and it was like 1932, something like that.
First full-length animated film, 1937. Yeah,
37. Yeah. So I mean, it's so old, and you can understand why some things in there would be dated. Like we wouldn't appreciate some of those ideals anymore, which is totally fine.
Yeah, and I think they take this thing of like your prince saving you and women just sitting there and doing nothing, which I like. Yeah, I don't like that theme. That was weird. It was all the way up until like honestly like the 90s that they kind of started changing it.
Flipped it. Now it's like, and you're like,
now let's kill men, and I'm like, wait.
Let's tell little boys that they're weaker than Wendy, and we're like, the freak. You guys just don't get it. They don't understand balance at all. It's like, oh my god, that's what you want, pedal to the metal. Like, wow.
Well, I'm just like, I think love is okay. Like I think falling in love is cute, and I think that a prince even saving a princess from a dire situation could be cute. Just make it
Yeah.
so she's not brainless. And I'm like, and then it's
Yes.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, not only that, but like if you really want to make this a boss babe movie, have her save him sometimes because that could really happen, and have him save her so that it's at least you're hitting both. So that if
Yeah.
people are like, "Wow, you can't have a prince save him," or "Wow, the
Yeah.
princess does everything," you're hitting on both.
Well, and then
I,
it's like an ideal of like how a cute marriage could be, of where
right.
you're both
Right.
partners
You're
are
both
contributing and
taking
you're both
care of
helping
each other.
each other. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it's inspiring. You're like, oh, I just want to, have a relationship like that. So,
Yep.
anyway,
Classically, it's been the man saves the woman like takes care of his wounds. That's kind of like
yeah,
the thing that happens, which is totally fine. I'm fine with that. But if people aren't, maybe you could just do both. Maybe just a little bit of balance would be great. But
yeah,
it's like it's just one or the other. There's no
yeah,
room for both here for whatever reason.
yeah.
I
Well,
think
it's sinking. I'm like, well, what's interesting is that they're not sinking. Disney, they keep making
no.
money, but it's almost like people are curious at how bad they are that they go watch them.
I'm gonna watch them.
but,
Yeah.
but
Are you gonna go
like I
watch Snow
think
White?
I'm not gonna go in theaters. I never go in theaters anymore. But I probably will watch it because I'm gonna be curious
Yeah. Yeah.
on when
Yeah.
it
I
comes out
think.
on the streaming.
Well, I kind of wonder if their money is made from people telling. I'm sure it's made from people telling others that was amazing. Go, like I might watch it on Disney Plus someday, but I'm not going to take all my kids, pay for the theater tickets and all of that because it's not worth it to me. So that must be like the box office must be where the money's at. I don't know,
I
or
don't
just like this
understand
is
how.
amazing. We're just going to keep going. I don't know where all the
I don't
money
know.
comes from, but
I don't understand it honestly. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't understand how they make money there at all. But because I feel
you
like box office is kind of maybe not failing, but definitely not as popular as it used to be. Like I know a lot of people that are like, I'm just gonna wait till it comes out and streaming
Yeah,
it.
there are people who do that. However, at least in Utah, the megaplex theaters has changed like theater
Okay.
experience because you go and you have like a heated reclining chair
Oh,
and
fun.
you have like a membership you pay for. I mean, it's a whole experience.
Okay.
It's so fun.
Okay.
I love going to movies. So
It's possible that I just don't do anything. I tend to be like, the theme of the world is going to when I
based
don't
on my little box, yeah, I do that too.
like I
Yeah.
can tell that most people don't go to
Well,
the theater because I don't go to
right,
the
and I'm
theater.
like, it's totally a Utah thing. There could be that megaplex has been a thing forever, and I just haven't gone to the movies till
Yeah.
recently. But
Yeah.
we've kind of made it a family thing that if anything good comes out, we go as like a fun thing. So it really, yeah, I think people do enjoy the experience if it's done right, But we are a little bit over sitting in like tiny, uncomfortable, lean forward chairs. Like you got to make it a good experience, or it's better just sit on your couch. You have a giant TV, you can just watch your theater at home. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. So the experience now is really good where we are. So we still go,
Yeah.
but I was gonna tell.
Sorry,
What's
go
that?
ahead. No, that's a different. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say on numbers. So I looked up Cinderella's numbers versus Snow White's projected numbers because they don't have any yet. But is this interesting to you? This kind of stuff interests me.
No, I like it. Go ahead.
Okay. So Cinderella grossed 542.4 million worldwide. So they had a budget of 95 million, grossed 542, which doing the math, 447.4 million net.
That's crazy.
And I don't know if that's exactly how the net works. Like I just minus those numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe there's something else in there that you
Yeah.
have to be accounted for. But roughly they made $447 million. Like that was definitely worth it, And what was fascinating is their budget was only 95 million. That's big, but it's not crazy big because Snow White. Just guess what their budget is. Guess how much they've spent on this stupid movie.
Well, I heard that their dwarves are CGI, so they probably spent a lot on that. So I'm gonna say 100 million. I don't know.
$340 million.
It's gonna tank. I'm like embarrassed for him.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think at this point they're just like, there's no way through but through. Like, and I wish they'd have the integrity to say, okay, we hear you guys. We're pulling back. We're going to go back to the drawing board and start this all over. The problem is they're such a woke company. They can't fire a woman. They can't fire Rachel Zegler because the whole world's dogpiling her, even though I'm sure they want to.
She's a Latino woman, so it's like
they're just they're so ruined by their own ideology that it's hilarious to watch.
It is
they're
funny.
like spinning in circles around. Oh yeah. You're like, and you totally deserve this. Yep.
Yeah. So that was the other thing that that people were mad about is she is Latino and Snow White, like her literal name is I am white. So
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, you can't make her Latino. But
Well, I have
she
things about
looks
that.
like she kind of looks like Snow White to me. Like they give
She
her
looks
black
very
hair and
white.
like and like I'm not really offended by that. I'm not like she has to be white. But the stories are very clear that her skin was white as snow. Like that is like clear. That is
One of
why
her
she's named
identifying
Snow
features.
White.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the other reason everyone was like, "You've got to be kidding me! You cannot race swap when her skin is snow is white."
Yeah.
Shut
Yeah.
up, white as snow. Shut
Snow is white.
up.
Well, I was like, yeah. It's too early in the
Yes,
morning. Yeah.
it is snow is
Yes,
white.
snow is white. That's a great description. Well said, sister. You don't have me over here correcting. I can't keep up.
Dang it! This is why I can't lead speeches. I was like watching Lord of the Rings, and they're like yelling at a crowd and boosting him up. I was like, I've always wanted to do that. Like I
Don't
might
you
stumble over my
agree with
words.
me, crowd? Her skin is snow as white. Let us stop this.
Very disrespect. So it happened.
I love it.
Anyway.
I'm just the exact same way. I get all impassioned and then I can't say anything. This is why our podcast is great. We can't even talk.
That's amazing.
I was gonna say, so I do think that there is some what do you call it? Illogical and over the top freaking out from conservatives because we already have our backup about Disney. So when they put in a Latino woman, we're like, wow, she's a white. And I'm like, if you look at Rachel Zegler, she's so white. It's not even funny. She's just white. And she's stunningly she's a perfect pick. She's a perfect pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's talented. I don't know if you saw
oh, yes, I did.
West Side Story.
Oh no, I was thinking what's it called? The Hunger Games, the new one. She's sang in that one. She's amazing. I was like, holy crap.
What?
You haven't seen that?
She's in like the bad guy Hunger Games, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Songbirds.
I loved that movie.
Okay.
I love that. Yeah.
Okay, I have to read and watch that. Mom said she hated it, and we usually agree, so I need to go.
Mom Mom always has opinions on things that are wrong.
Mom knows nothing. Mom, don't listen to this podcast. No. You know nothing about movies.
She doesn't like a movie I like. I'm like, Mom, you're wrong.
we can't insult Mom. She's like our only audience member.
I know.
The only reason we have a following is because Mom goes and forces people to watch us.
I know. She wouldn't like it though because it's like mystical and kind of weird. But I like I don't know, the psychology of it's fascinating. I loved it.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Your camera is super blurry. I don't know if that's just my end.
So is yours. So I think it's just lagging. I think it'll clear up once it'll clear up when we post it. So
okay. There was something else I was gonna say. Oh, okay. So I do think that conservatives are like, she's not even white. How dare you? And I'm like, we're the ones who say that skin color doesn't matter. Like,
like stop making it all about skin color.
Stop making everything racist. So we are the ones who are like, stop putting people in. So skin. Okay, let me back up. Skin color does matter when it crosses cultural lines. But in this case, it's not like they're bringing Latina culture in and changing the whole story. She just is Latina, but she's so white. Like, she looks like a white girl that I'm like, to me, that doesn't matter even a tiny bit because physically she fits the part perfectly. So I would have cast her.
Yeah. I think if it hadn't been the combo of them doing this a million times and failing with race swapping and her coming out and like bashing Snow White, that's what made people like, okay, angry.
Yeah, okay, fine. Like, if you're gonna do this, yeah. And I watched this reviewer who pointed out, and I'm like, this is so true. He's like, if she hadn't and Disney hadn't made this big deal about how like woke they are and how amazing they are, then nobody would have cared that she was Latina. Like, if she just kind of was, and just, they just didn't make it a big deal, but it's like, I don't know, some interviewer brought it up, no big deal, but if she's constantly like, finally, the diversity that they need, or whatever, I think they would have been just fine. Like, I don't think anyone would care. She's just so perfect. She's so perfect.
It's like Morgan Freeman being like, how do you make racism not a thing? Stop talking about it. Like, that's how I feel with Disney. They just keep bringing it up over and over, that to the point where you're like, I'm just irritated now, and I wasn't before. So
you want to know why they're on this freaking train right now? At least in my opinion, because I'm a big conspiracy theorist. I think there's like an angle to everything they do. is I decided to do like this deep dive again, and I found out I looked at all of Disney's like racism over the past years, and it was only 30 years ago that they were putting like really offensive stuff in their shows. Like stuff
what?
that, yeah, stuff that even I'm like, yeah, I could understand how as those people you would be like, thank you.
That's rude.
So, yeah, super rude. So I got all this from a video on YouTube and you could go and look it up. I wish I had the guy's name, but you could just like, you could just type in like Disney's, Disney's racist movies or whatever. And he's the first one that pops up. But, they have this one called Mickey in Arabia in 1932. So it's like as old as Snow White.
Yeah.
And
I'm like already nervous.
What's that?
Said I'm like already nervous. Go ahead.
Oh, like they have Mickey going to is it Saudi Arabia? I don't know anything. Okay, pretty sure that's what it's called. We're definitely gonna have to look that up and edit it. But anyway, they have all of these stereotypes about Arabic men in there, and they have like to a point where they have an Arabic man kidnap Minnie and try to like essay her, like not necessarily like grossly, but like he keeps trying to grab her and like kiss her and like all these men, all they want to do is take your women and you know have their way with them.
Yeah.
And then like everywhere they go, everyone's got swords and is trying to kill them. Like it's just so they hone in on these features on these cartoon versions.
Exaggerate them. Yeah.
It's exaggerated features. It is straight up the most offensive thing I've ever seen. Like I was cringing the whole time I'm watching it. They have one in 1940. It's called so it's in Fantasia. It's the Fantasia that came out, I guess, in like 1969. But in 1940, they had like a version of it, I guess. And they had this little character in there called Sunflower. And it's seriously like, it makes me like cringy just even saying it out loud. But she's a centaur and she's the servant of all the other centaurs who are white, like beautiful white women. And she's like a really ugly little black girl. And she's like, her whole role in there is to just like serve them like hand and foot. And I guess it was like created in the 40s, and then in 1969 they like cut that out. And I'm like, yeah, no kidding, freaking Disney. Yeah, it like so it's one thing to not stand up for minorities. I get that wasn't really part of our culture for a while, but they went out of their way to put these people down, especially black people. They were so cruel to black people in their movies that they have even one in they even have one in Little Mermaid, which I personally didn't find super offensive, but I'm not black. But it was they say the black fish she sings, and they zoom in on this like fish that has
the black fish. That what?
She sings. It's in their like Under the Sea song.
Okay.
And they hone in on her, and she has like exaggerated features to the stereotypical exaggerated features of a black woman singer or whatever. Yeah. And it's just supposed to, again, just like reiterate these stereotypes. Like this, they all look the same. This is it. You know, it's bad. Like there's some stuff, and it was snuck in. I'm like, why would you sneak that into like a little side song? It's like at that point they kind of knew, but like this will be funny. Like it's weird.
That I can totally understand, and why people needed to stand up and say something. Because like I mean, people do stuff like that for our church. Like there's so many stereotypes around LDS, which Mormons, you know. Anyway, that to where it's like you see it in movies and you're just like, hey, that's not true, and it's annoying. And so you kind of need to be like, we need to go tell them that this isn't okay, because that's not how our church is at all.
Because if you don't advocate for yourself, no one's going to.
Exactly. So I'm like, it definitely needed to be said. Yeah. So I'm not mad at them for that at all.
No, not at all. And I do, like, there's this whole thing of racism exists in our country. And for a while there, just based on my worldview, because there's hardly any of that here, I was like, not really. Like, racism doesn't, like, exist wholly. And I'm not kidding you. Like, the last year, I've heard some of the most racist comments that I've ever heard in my life. Like, just right around here. And I'm like, I had no idea people really, like, I had to be like, you really think that? Like, you actually think that? Yeah. Like, yeah. Like, wow.
I was don't the same have way. Words for you. I didn't think, Yeah, because we were just raised to not be racist at all. You kind of
Yeah.
get in your bubble of like, yeah, no one is. Like
But
I said
why
before,
would you?
like
It
no one
just
goes to
is
the theater.
logical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't know that. I don't know why you would do that. And so
Yeah.
yeah, when you actually go experience, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. When we were in Ohio, we met some people who were legitimately like would say things not as a joke, just like straight up racist. And I was like,
Straight up.
I don't like that. Like I don't like that at all.
No.
Like I don't want to
No.
punch you in the face.
It's
Anyway,
a deal breaker for friendship. Like you're like, okay.
oh
Like
yeah,
you know,
I was
they're
like,
like,
yeah, we can't be friends.
no, it, like there's this kind of thing right now. Like if anyone says something like that and you remain friends with them, you're part of the problem. And I'm like, there are degrees, but when people straight
It
up think
means
they
so many things though. Like if you say something
yeah,
like that, like I'm
yeah.
not even joking, but just like you just actually are racist. Like it means a
Well,
lot of things.
it means a lot of things, and I have heard people 100% say they feel superior to a certain race, and I'm like, I cannot even understand that thinking.
Right.
I just we just can't hang out.
Yeah.
That's that's really weird to me. Um, I yeah, I don't know. I don't know what kind of worldview you'd have to think that. Like especially growing up somewhere here where seriously you'd run into like four black people in your entire life if you just
Yeah.
stayed here.
Yeah.
That I don't understand how you could even come up with negative views of black people. Like you don't ever talk to them or see them.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean I've heard some shocking things that I'm like, okay, this is a real thing. They really are trying to fight for a mindset, like an equality mindset now, where they have equal rights, they have equal opportunities, but there are people who will straight up, um, block them from certain parts of society just as best they can because they're like,
Yeah.
I really think that you are inferior, and I'm like,
It's
that's
kind of like
insane.
this this movement is bringing out all the nasties and the good
Yeah,
people. It's kind of
yeah,
like with the feminist movement, um the nasty super sexist men are being brought out randomly, like
yes.
what's his name that we always talk about?
Andrew
Andrew
Tate. I know we
Tate.
always hate on Andrew Tate. Yeah,
Anyway, but yeah, they kind of bring those up when movements like this happen. It's really interesting. I don't know
you
why it
know what
happens, but
frustrates me so much about Andrew Tate? I'm just gonna go on my soapbox right now. Is everything about him. Bless his heart.
everything.
But everything.
Bless his heart.
He clearly did not have a mother who told him he can't behave like that.
Yeah.
But like seriously, I know some little boys that their moms are like, honey, stop. And I'm like, they're gonna turn into an Andrew Tate someday. Like
Andrew
they
Tate.
100% think they're superior to women because they walk all over their mamas,
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. Anyway, um, what was I gonna say? Oh, it
Soapbox.
frustrates me so much how Daily Wire either refuses to speak ill of him
Uh,
or promotes him, straight up promotes him. I'm like, he is a toxic, disgusting human. I do not understand this.
they do the
We
same thing with Trump. I'm like,
I know.
there's so many gross things, but I know you're trying to
Oh,
like win the election, but let's just be honest that he's a gross human.
he's just a disgusting human. I'm like,
It's like
and
almost blasphemy now, like in the conservative world. Like you can't say
oh,
Trump is a horrible person. I'm like, he just
oh,
is. Like I'm gonna
I'm
probably
like,
vote for him, but I hate
oh
him.
yeah, oh yeah. I'm like, this will blast like many of our viewers, but I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I really do think that there's some repulsive things about his personality that everyone's just willing to brush under the rug because they have to be able to what's that word? They have to be able to crap, I can't think. But they have to be able to vote for him and think well of him at the same time for some reason. I'm like,
Yeah.
you have two options. Like it's
Hmm.
okay if you vote for someone you don't necessarily agree with
You have
everything
to
on.
worship the ground they walk
Yeah,
on.
you got to
Yeah.
pick your best choice here. But 1,000%, if it had been between him and like a Ben Carson or what's his name from Florida, why can't I ever remember
Yeah,
his
I know
name?
who you're talking about. Yeah.
I love him. I
I
don't
know.
understand. Maybe they just thought he couldn't win, but I don't understand why he was kind of pushed to the side. Like he was Trump, but with class and a family. Like I don't get it. Yeah.
I don't understand politics at all. It happens on the left too. Like I think a lot of the left aren't like, yes, Kamala's just the best. Like I think they're like, yeah, she's kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
happens both sides. I don't know why. I don't know
Yeah.
why we put up the worst candidates
Well, neither.
possible.
Maybe they're the only ones willing to be puppet. I don't know. I don't really see Trump as a puppet though. And I will say, like, my respect for him has grown since he has been in office once. Like, I've watched several things on, especially his foreign policy, like how he's dealt with bullies, basically. Like he does really well there. He shines there, but
Yeah.
he's also a bully himself, so that kind of makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
But yeah, I'm like, holy cow, there's so many people I would vote for before him if I could, and
Oh
if
yeah.
it made sense.
100%.
That being said, I am grateful for someone who's willing to be up there and hit back, because not very many people are.
And maybe
So,
that's all it is now. You know, maybe that's
yeah,
all the
yeah.
whatever you call that.
Put your heavy hitter in there, I guess.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's unfortunate. I wish that these kind of people weren't representing America, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, what were we talking about?
what was I gonna say? Oh, we're talking about Andrew Tate and
Yeah, when it brings up these like terrible characters.
oh yeah. So you have like feminism rising. So then you have Andrew Tate who's like, women should be stomped on. Some of the stuff he's said, I'm like, dude, how are you even functioning in society? How does any woman even like look sideways at you? But there are women who just flock to that. I'm like, okay. I don't know. I don't know. There are some people who you're like, I know without any doubt that if you were the last man on earth, I wouldn't come close to you with the 20-foot pole. Yeah. And, and for some reason, beautiful women flock to him. So I'm like, okay, well, the man knows what he's doing somehow.
I have a suspicion that if he didn't have any money, that wouldn't happen.
Oh, 100%. But he even admits that. He's like, what do I bring to the table? If not money, I can't do his accent, but he's kind of like, he's like, you bring beauty, I bring money. Like, that's the thing. And I'm like, yeah, until you lose it all, then what? But he really straight up, I think he really does think like, then I deserve it. I'm a loser. I'm like, wow, we just have completely different worldviews, which on his own head be it. It'll come back to bite him eventually, but bleh.
Yeah.
So gross to me.
I haven't even listened to him for many moons, but
yeah. Yep. He does say some things that make sense now and then, and you're like, okay, yeah. And then he's like, and also men should be able to sleep around with all women, and women should worship them, and that is my real view. And you're like, wow. Never mind.
Escalated quickly.
You are a broken man. Something is broken inside of you.
Something is broken.
So.
Anyway.
What's that? Yeah. Anyway, poor Andrew Tate. Okay.
He's got to make his way onto our podcast every episode. I guess this is our first official one.
Apparently, I have a chip on my shoulder. It just he's like someone just holding up the color pink and being like, "This is blue," and I'm like, "No, it freaking isn't. You're gonna make me crazy. Stop gaslighting me. That man is not classy. Stop pretending like yes."
I know.
Driving me nuts.
Yeah.
The gaslighting that gets to me. All right. Okay, so here's my other thing about Snow White. Were we done with that idea? Whatever tangent.
Whatever that was.
I don't even know what we're saying.
We're trying to bring it back somehow.
Whatever that was going on there. Nobody knows what happened. Poor Andrew Tate just made his way in.
Speaking of Andrew Tate.
So intrusive. He's always coming into our podcast. Snow White.
It's like
Andrew
the pineapple.
Tate sucks. Back to Snow White. Okay.
It's like the pineapple in Psych. Like, he's just always going to be like, he used to be like our mascot.
My gosh, we have to bring up Andrew Tate every time now. Until we convince the public that he is not worth following, he's going to be brought up every time.
Anne Hathaway, then Claire will be happy. Just kidding.
Right. Okay, I do think that like Andrew Tate was trying to be kind of a Joe Rogan. Like men do just gravitate to Joe Rogan, but I'm like, he actually has some integrity and some good qualities, Like
I think he's actually pretty smart.
Yeah. He is smart. He's very smart. Yeah. I really admire Joe Rogan, and I do not admire Andrew Tate. Okay, yeah, that is very clear to everyone. Okay, so not the same person. Anyway, so one of the things I wrote down in my notes is, why would you even pick Cinderella for your live action? Here are some options. Tarzan. Why are we not doing Tarzan? That is such a good everything, and it totally follows their like save the animals theme. I'm like, you could be woke, you could have you could have a thirst trap for moms, you could it's because
it shows a strong male lead, I think.
No, Jane is the strong lead. That's what's so cool about that show, is like she comes in, educates him, she mansplains the entire show, I'm like, I don't understand.
Loves him, and it's cute.
And she loves him, and he is like physically strong, but she is his portal to the world. And normally it's the other way around. And somehow it's still cute and romantic. It's not cringy. I love that one.
Yeah, I do
And
too.
yeah, that one, and she's like a real character. They made her so real. Oh, that I don't know why they're not live actioning that. Why would you start with one of the most controversial? It has dwarfism in it, and like in the original, it was offensive how they portrayed dwarfs, and I'm like, there's so many things you have to fix. Like you're taking on this huge project. Why would you do that? The main girl, the ideology is like women run away from it. I honestly think that them choosing this as a live action is an apology. I think they're trying to like fix their history.
Oh, I feel like that's every one of their live actions and why they all tank. I'm like, you can't just make an apology video every 2 years. It's so annoying.
It's so annoying.
You're not
and
even
they
good
have
at
taken
apologizing.
like right? They've taken like $1 billion hit or something. So I'm like, good, you deserve it.
Yeah.
This is so fake. It's a fake apology. You don't even care.
That's
it's not even been that long.
The dwarfs. So apparently, so when they first came out with their trailer, they had like they had like every human race was represented in the dwarfs. They had like someone who wasn't even a dwarf, and then they had like black and Asian, and like that everyone, and then so I was like, okay, but they're not dwarfs, so I'm confused. And then
we have everyone but the minority that could have been represented.
So that was one of the main things that people were complaining about in the comment section on the trailer. Was they were like, dwarfs are barely. Is that the correct term for it, or is it little people? On Google it says dwarf. So I'd like, if I'm being offensive, I'm not meaning to, but
I think so. I like to say people with dwarfism because I'm like, I don't even like to call them dwarfs. Like
I don't really like it either.
Yeah, like a creature or something. So I just say people with dwarfism. Yeah.
I can't remember what I was saying. But that was one of the complaints, is they were like, dwarfism is like one of the not represented people in Hollywood, and having them, this is like a perfect opportunity to have them in a movie. And they're just like, now they're CGIing all of it because they were like, people were offended by their first trailer of having all different races and sizes, and anyway, so now they're making them, they're calling them magical creatures, and apparently they consulted with the dwarfism community to come up with that, but I'm like, what does that actually mean? Did you talk to like one person? Like, how many people did you actually talk to, to make this decision? I don't know. I'm just having a hard time figuring it out.
No, I 100% agree with you. And again, you're just watching someone with no backbone running around in circles trying to chase their own ideology and keep everyone happy. I'm like, they totally deserve this. At first, they can't be offensive because they've called everyone out for being offensive, and this was supposed to be an apology video, and now it's just tanking. And what was I going to say about that? So Peter, I think you say his last name Dinklage. I'm not 100% sure how to say.
I know who you're talking about. I love him. He's one of my favorite actors.
Him so much. He's
in Elf, and he's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Someone asked me who my celebrity crush was, and I was like, if I had to have one, it'd be Peter Dinklage.
I really like him. I feel like he doesn't I don't know, ruminate on the fact that he is someone with dwarfism. Like, he's like, I'm just an actor and I'm good, and he is, and you just like, you just love him. Like, you're like, I just love everything about you.
I really do love him. And he has tried so hard to push those stereotypes out of Hollywood and made a lot of headway that way. And he was very against this Disney film, at least the last thing that I saw on it. Maybe I don't know if he's changed since then, but I doubt it. But he used some pretty strong language, but he was like, F you, F Disney, effing this is the dumbest effing thing. I was like, oh. But he's like, I have been up on my soapbox about this my entire career. Apparently I'm not loud enough, is what he said in the interview. He's like, how could you not understand how offensive this is? I've said it 1,000,000 times. And they're like, we've consulted with the dwarf community, I guess is what you'd call it. But I think what they did was do something stupid and offensive. Everyone freaked out. Then they ran to the dwarf community and were like, help us, And then they were like, well, now we're kind of pissed at you. And so they're like,
we're just going to make them creatures. It's fine. CGI fixes everything.
And I'm like, hey, from the very beginning, you should have gone to the dwarf community and said, what can we do to help further your goals to move these stereotypes out of Hollywood? What can we do with these characters that would help that? They could have written, okay, I just wrote it down. Can I just tell you, people are like, I have a screenplay here, if you'd like to look at it.
For an hour or two.
For an hour. Okay, it's not like crazy long, and you can make fun of me if you want. But seriously, I was like, this is what I'd do if I was the director. Okay, so let me just tell me if you disagree or agree. Okay, so one of the things Peter Dinklage said is that Let's see. Okay, so he said, I hate it, but if the roles had a spin on it that made them not look like this, I'm paraphrasing, but made the dwarfs not look like losers, he's like, I would have been all in. And that was the exact thing I thought when I saw this. I'm like, if they had portrayed them as men and people with like character,
they were kind of cool. They were like mining the caves, and like they were hard workers.
Cool.
And
yeah, in the cartoon, they're a little bit like, they're kind of like, you magical stupid men, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, here's what I would have done to fix all that without being like, we fixed it, pat us on the back. It's like Disney wants a pat on the back every time they say sorry for being totally racist. Yeah, I'm like, no one's gonna say good job. You're trying to fix like 30 years ago crap. It's too soon.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, what I would have done is immediately consulted with the like dwarf community, and then so he's like, they live in like a cave in the woods, like why are they like not civilized people, like they can't just be humans? And I was like, you know what would be so cool is if they were like in opposition to the queen, and you had like this Game of Thrones thing going where she took the throne and to completely change the kingdom after Snow White's dad died, and the dwarfs used to be very respected members of the court, and then she kicks them all out, makes them slaves, makes everybody treat them with like these stereotypical, you know, because it kind of does highlight the things that they feel like exaggerated.
That would be genius. Because then it would be like, kind of make their last movie be okay. Like, that's why they did it.
Yes, you could answer all these things. So then I was like, you could make the leader of like this dwarf group that lives in this hut, they're hiding from the queen and they're like opposing her or whatever. You could have him be like a Robin Hood. He's kind of like protector of the forest. Anyone who's banished by the queen, they immediately take in, which would make sense why they take Snow White in, because they're like, okay, you're on our side. But it could also be like really complicated where they're like, maybe she's a spy and she has to earn their trust, and it could be this like cool relationship. Anyway, I like went all crazy with this. Sorry, this is so nerdy.
No, it's fine.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so then you have like this whole backstory of Queen of Thrones thing going on. The queen's in power. They're trying to take their power back. And then you can have like all their stupid nicknames that are in the movie, like Happy, Sneezy, whatever, be their like disguise names, because that's how they're treated in court. So when they go in undercover, they call each other Happy, Sneezy. It's like code names. So now it's cool. It's like not stupid. And then behind the scenes with Snow White, give them real names and like have a scene where they like talk about that. Like, I have a name. This is what it is. I have a family. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So you're kind of like, she's having to look them in the eye and see that, but we are too, which would be so powerful. They're so stupid. Okay. So then the things they could have done with this. So then the other thing that I was thinking is, they could have like a whole backstory with like the leader of the dwarfs and the king, where the king, I was like, I'd make it so layered, but the king like smuggled his wife and child out, and then he had an opportunity to save the king and couldn't, and so he carries this guilt and tries to like fight the queen on behalf of the king. And when he meets Snow White, she like forgives him on behalf of her father, and it could be this moment. And I'm like, we could just make this so good.
And you could actually build the love story instead of just like, she's kind of hot, I guess I'll kiss her and marry her.
Say that again, you're breaking out.
I said they should have, you could build the love story instead of just like the prince being like, she's kind of hot, I'm gonna kiss her, marry her.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's not hard to do that if she actually has a character,
a personality. That's exactly what I was gonna write. If she has a personality, that's like all. I think that's the only thing they need to change in these feminist remakes is give the women a personality. Like they do this huge thing where
it's still sexist.
They basically take their personality out and make them these hard A, like, it's so predictable. You know exactly what they're going to do, and they're all the same. It's not a personality. I'm like, make them have something that you relate to, and you're like, oh my gosh, I love that about her, and she's not perfect, but I love her. And anyway. Sorry, go ahead.
The two they've done really well with is Tangled. She's like a, kind of an action woman, and she's not afraid, and she does all these cool things
she's quirky and young and funny.
Quirky and she's prone to error, which is human, and it's so much more lovable. And Moana, they actually did really good with her too. She's
I love
a little
Moana.
action woman.
Okay, that's a great example of somebody of creating a movie with a different culture, and like that's something new. Like they didn't have to race swap to make that happen. They made it, and every girl like wants to be an islander now. Like you're like, I love this because they did such a good job.
Yeah. You know what I think they've run into now though too, again, like all their ideologies just bite them in the butt, but it's like you have these amazing princesses like Tiana and Moana, and now these little white girls want to be them, and then they dress up for them as Halloween. Everyone's like, cultural appropriation. And so then you run into that. It's just like, it's just so stupid. They're just trying to separate. I'm like, it's getting really ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, Okay, then the other thing I was thinking about too is give an answer for the endless like mining that they do, so they're not just like diamond hungry dwarfs that live in the forest.
I
Like,
kind of forgot what the movie's about. I'm like, I think they're
yeah, it's
like
just
digging
like
caves. I
they're
don't remember
definitely
anything.
not. Yeah, they're definitely not highlighted well. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, if you think about Dopey, I'm like, holy cow. Yeah, I mean, and there's not one among them that isn't like absolutely adoring at the feet of this like white woman, right? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's Disney's theme. They've done that a lot, and I can see how it would be really offensive. But I'm like, man, I would have made Happy the leader, um, Peter Dinklage, and just a bad A. He would have been Robin Hood of the forest, and him and Snow White would have ended up with a very like amazing relationship where they were in the trenches together, and she could have
Plot
been
twist, she falls in love with him. Just kidding.
gay.
I
That
love him
actually
though.
would have been a sweet love triangle, in my
Wouldn't that be
opinion.
so cute? I
That
think
would
that would be
be
so cute.
really cool. Where now she has to make this choice. I'm like, you could just do so many things
You
with
could have
it.
a love triangle.
You really
And then you
could.
could
A
have
really
Team Peter and Team
okay.
Prince Charming.
You
But
would
no one
get.
would like Prince Charming because he
You
doesn't
would
have a
have.
personality. Sorry.
You would have all of America crushing on Peter Dinklage if that was
I
the
love
case.
him.
Like,
He's great.
yeah,
He's amazing.
yeah. Yep. So I'm like, it could have been so good. I wish I could write for Disney because right now there's such a hole there. I'm like, please just let me help you write these
Pick me.
plots. Pick me. Like, anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, it would be okay. The other thing, sorry, really quick. It's really
okay.
old fashioned and silly how the queen is like obsessed with beauty, and that's the whole motivating factor behind murdering Snow White. So I was like, what would be really cool if there was a prophecy about some like cursed stone. That's why the dwarves are mining for it, that the fairest in the land has to wield to like take the queen down. And so that's why she obsesses over who's the fairest in the land. If it's not her, someone's going to take her out and take her power. You know what I mean? Like, you could make it so much deeper than, I'm not the prettiest, I'm going to murder her with an apple.
There is. Yeah, they didn't really go into that. I will say that the entire story of Snow White, when it was originally written, like Disney didn't make it up. It was it's kind of the symbolic like what happens when vanity takes over, which is really interesting. So I wonder if you could lean into that a little bit without somehow making it more relatable than just like I need to be pretty, you know, because there's clinging onto your youth and your beauty after you reach a certain age is a very real thing and very much real in our society. So if you could lean into that, it would be really interesting. Anyway. Well,
maybe what you could do is highlight how her beauty brought her power. Like, she came into power because people adored her, and then as that starts to slip away, she has to make room for that next generation. This is exactly what we see in society now. Is these older women are like, my power is slipping. You know, you probably shouldn't place all of your value on your looks, because as that does naturally fade away, your power is going to go if that's the only thing that you're good for. You know. Put some time into your brain and your personality so that when that does go, you got something left.
Speaking of like beauty, this is so random, but I was watching The Voice, and it's like my connection to the world, because I feel like I don't keep up with pop culture, but I'll like watch stuff and I'm like, this is what everyone's doing now. Anyway, but on The Voice there was like a whole bunch of women who are like 30 and younger who have just had so much Botox. You can tell because they can't move their face, and I'm like, why are we doing this at this age? I'm so like I've seen it on you know, influencers would do that. I knew that was common. I didn't know it was becoming like a common thing for most people to do. It's kind of gotten crazy out of hand.
Yeah, it's gotten crazy. Man. And then on the flip side, I just saw this video about an old lady. She was like 70. She got canceled on TikTok because she's like too conservative or something. Anyway, which makes sense. TikTok is like a breeding ground for psycho woke people. But still. Oh, did I lose you?
No, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, it says reconnecting. Crap. I can hear you.
This is not a good time for my service to go out. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you the whole time. So.
Okay, good. I just jabbered into my mic till it came back. Perfect.
Sorry, that was a sidetrack.
You're still breaking out though.
Oh
crap! I don't know if that's me.
I could end it. And
probably is. Our service has been really bad. Okay.
I can hear you. Do you want me to end it and call you back?
Will that help?
I don't know. Just feels like
can you put them together like easily? Maybe better not. So many unanswered questions.
I'll have my tech guy do that.
Right. Oh man.
Anyway, I was gonna tell you something. Oh, okay. So that was a sidetrack about the Botox thing, but I just was thinking, like, if you could lean into that, because it's very much part of our society, American culture nowadays. Just beauty is everything, and it
Yeah.
would be really interesting to see that in Snow White as well.
It's true. Good point. And they threw that into Tangled, you know? Like she
Yeah.
has to have her youth, her flower make her young, and she's a psycho older lady, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a real thing.
Yeah.
They just have a hard time making. Oh, that was my point. This TikTok lady, she was like an old woman, and she would get on TikTok and make these videos about like how to dress classy as an old lady.
Yeah.
And granted, she was stunning, so like that helps. She had like these amazing cheekbones and just like a beautiful body, even though she was like in her 70s. So I'm like, she was just really pretty, great hair. But she dressed really classy, zero Botox, hardly any makeup. Like just it was all in a healthy body and how she presented it that made her beautiful. She was seriously head-turningly beautiful, but it had different connotations than maybe we could make babies together. You know what I mean? It was just like, wow, you've lived a life and you seem like someone who's dignified and who loves themselves. There's a lot there. There's a lot of things that are said about her.
I think women almost like turn their crown in too early. I don't know how else to explain that, but like they have this power when they're young, right? And then they get older and they're like, oh, I'm old enough, here you go. You know, and I'm like, I think that you can kind of carry that power till you die. You know, it doesn't have to be beauty and sexual, but women have power no matter what. And I think, I just think they're kind of like, oh, no one look at me, you know, I'm old. And I'm like, I don't know, I don't think you have to do that.
No, we had this discussion with a guy, and he was like, you know, he's like, I'm not a fan of Botox, which whatever, if you are, that's your thing, but we were just discussing like how it has gotten out of hand, because I'm like, there are people who do it tastefully and all that.
Oh that's great. I've seen it done very well.
Very well.
Wow, that actually looks really good.
Yeah, you look great. But if it's done way too early, or you're really dependent on it, or your whole identity's wrapped around, there's just some things that are some red flags that is kind of a problem in your life. But anyway, he was just talking about, he's like, I legitimately do not like that. I want my woman to age with me. And he's like, when I see an older woman and I see wrinkles on her, I just want her to give me a hug and like maybe a treat. But he was like, I feel like, yeah, but he's like, I feel like I'm in the presence of a mother, and that makes, he kind of talked about it like reverently, like there's a reverence for motherhood. And I was like, it's so true. It kind of highlights motherhood. The more the older you get, you could be that for people, you know. He's like, it's just so comforting. There's something comforting about an older woman.
Yes. Like, there was this mom and this daughter on this YouTube channel, and her mom came on one time, and her mom was stunning. She looked like her daughter, but just an older version. Right. She was like talking, and she was saying she was self-conscious about her hands. She's like, oh, my hands give away my age or whatever, you know. And you can't tell a woman's age in her hands.
Absolutely. I was looking at mine the other day. Yeah.
I actually think they're beautiful. I like older hands. I don't know why. It's weird. It's like one of those weird fascinating things. Yeah, they speak so many things. Anyway, and so apparently you can get Botox and fillers in your hands. I didn't know that.
Oh no, don't do it, women.
You can make them look like, it's so creepy. I'm like, and then you'll look like this. But anyway, so
just slowly turning us into dolls.
It's weird. It creeps me out. But one of the comments just like touched me. I've always thought about it, but she was like, please never touch your hands like with filler Botox. Wait, can you hear me? Oh no. Oh no.
What happened?
My light died.
Oh no!
Now I'm gonna look like a fool.
No, you're gonna look like a fool.
No, I'm just kidding.
You can't look not pretty.
Let me go see if I can go outside. This lighting is really bad. Dang it! I should have charged it last night.
It just looks like we're like real podcasters with a real house and stuff. So it's really.
I just want you to be able to see me.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
That's a good
Seeing
point.
you is part of the podcast.
Seeing is believing. Okay, let me see if I can go. That's
really
fine.
Light right there. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Really
I just went outside. Okay. Anyway, so
problem solved.
Slay. So anyway, slay.
Can you scoot it up just a little bit, because there's like a handle there? If you can't, it's not a big deal, but just if you want to. Yep.
Anyway, so, but they were like, please never touch your hands. They're like, mother's hands speak so many stories. You can see like those hands changed diapers and did the dishes. They're worn from like doing dishes all those years and like tucking your kids
I'm
in
gonna
and
cry. Why do I always
doing
cry?
and doing gardening and everything that a mother's hands do. Like
Oh,
they're like, please don't touch those. They're beautiful. Anyway, it always touched me. I've always thought that. I'm like, I just think that aging is beautiful. It really is. Anyway,
yeah.
that was a
Huh.
random tangent, but
Well, and it makes me think of our own mom, and it makes me cry. I
I
don't
know.
think we're gonna
Oh,
have a podcast where I don't cry. We deleted the last one I cried on, thank heaven. But I was like, okay, never again am I crying. But I'm like,
gosh, you're allowed to cry. You're so
you
funny.
get to me. But I think like just that imagery is really strong. Just because mom was so like devoted, you know. Forgive me,
Forgive
my
me.
audience. I will use my lap blanket to wipe up. Anyway, I have a child who has this ability to produce these crazy crocodile tears. And I'm like, where the heck does that come from? The second I feel an emotion, I have these fat tears just like come out. And I'm like,
Where does that come?
oh
I
my
was
God.
like, that's so funny when your kids do stuff like that. Like, my one of my daughters, she has this like rage that comes from like dumb stuff, like I don't know, she tripped over something. She's like, ah. Anyway,
I get rage over that too. I get
no,
that.
no, that's what was funny is I was like, oh my gosh, where does this come from? Calm down.
What's your
And
problem?
I couldn't get the computer to work, and I was like,
Yeah.
she's like sitting there watching me, and I was like, oh, that's what.
I am teaching you how to react. Don't you hate that? That like
I
you
do.
are
I
their
do hate it.
example of how to react to certain situations and
I do hate it.
they totally
So
copy.
much pressure. Yeah.
I know. My kids talk to each other like, "Hey, why are you doing that? Stop!" And I'm like, "Why would you talk like in a tone like that? That's so mean." It's like 2 seconds
Got
later.
you.
What's wrong with you? Why are you on the table? Get off,
Why would you do that?
you animal.
Yeah, animal. Yeah,
Oh
filthy
my
animal.
gosh. Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, that was embarrassing, but I do think that's such a beautiful point that
yeah,
those hands demonstrate so many hours and sacrifice that you
yes.
really should never erase that, especially from a mom, not from a dad either. They're just both
It
they
reminds
both
me
have
of
such
like
a beautiful role in their
that
children's
song,
lives.
His Hands, the Jesus song. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about? Yeah,
that
I
sounds
love that
good.
song.
Me too.
Anyway, but yeah, that was a beauty tangent. But just talking about Snow White and your pretend Snow White world.
Yeah. Well, I will say too that this is just my opinion. I don't know if other people share this or not, but the people in my life who are aging,
Sorry.
I legitimately 100% find more beautiful now than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, our oldest sister Nicole how old is she? Is she 40 now?
I think she's 41. She's 11 years older than me, so
Yeah, and she's very.
she's almost 42 because it's her birthday soon.
Oh,
Or no,
okay.
she just had a
It was
birthday.
her
I never
birthday.
told her happy birthday.
I did, and I feel so proud because I
I
never
feel
do that.
so proud.
I really am. I'm like, I don't even like tell Corey happy birthday, and I remembered Chloe's.
I remembered Vanny's. I'm a terrible person. I gotta call her. Oh no! Gosh
Okay, I
dang it!
totally forgot Vanny's. Now that you say that, Vanny's in September. Take it.
You're a terrible person.
I am.
Okay,
I'm like
everyone
sitting here like
judging
I
us.
remembered Chloe's.
Everyone
What's
who's
that?
judging us. But everyone who's judging us, we have 8 freaking siblings, and they
Yeah,
all have different
8.
birthdays.
Yeah. No, you should judge us. That's terrible. They should get
I
a call
know.
at least on their birthday. I feel bad. I feel
I
bad
know.
I didn't call Vanny.
My sisters
Anyway,
especially get my attention. I know it's bad, but like the brothers, they all have like spring birthdays, and that's all like this to me. I'm like, I don't know, March and April, somewhere in there.
you don't know their birthdays? I think I know every one
You
of
don't
their
know
birthdays.
what's Gabe's?
March 10th. Maybe. I could just tell you because you don't know.
I thought Gabe's was in April.
Crap. No, this is March.
Okay, I
March
don't
10th.
know.
I think his
I
and
don't know stuff.
Brandon's are really close, aren't
Yes,
they?
I thought so too. It does. It does
March
matter. Don't
11th.
judge us.
March 10th.
That's
Dang it.
right, family. You get it.
I
You don't.
used
You're
to
judging it.
remember all of them. Well, and then you have Claire who remembers all of theirs plus all of hers
Oh
plus
my
all of her
gosh.
siblings
Plus
plus all of her kids.
all everybody's kids. I'm like, Claire,
I
stop it.
know. I'm like, stop being so
Making me
smart, dang it.
look bad.
Making us look stupid. Yeah. Anyway, what was I gonna say?
Sorry.
Something. Oh, I was just saying, Coley, she's like in her 40s or close to. I don't know.
Mhm.
She's 9 years older than me, and I'm 32. So yeah, she's in her 40s,
Yeah.
and she is legitimately more beautiful now than she was 10 years ago, and not necessarily in the ways, not in the traditional ways, but like she's she's aging so well that it's beautiful to watch, I guess. You're just like,
It's fun to
that's
watch.
exactly what I want to look like at your age. I
Yeah.
want to dress like that. I want to carry myself like that. And she doesn't, she's not like clinging onto her beauty in a weird way. She's being very graceful about it. And she just looks amazing. I'm like, okay, I'm not afraid of it because we have some really good examples in front of us. Our
Yeah.
aunts are all that way. Our mom is that way. They've just like
Yeah.
embraced their
I do
natural
think
beauty so well.
I don't know. I think there's a weird culture, especially online, when somebody gets Botox or gets work done, and everyone almost like forces the information out of them. They're like, "Have you had work done? Tell me, tell me, tell me." And I'm like, "Stop being weird." Like, I would just like, if I were an influencer, I'd just be like, "You don't get to know because you're being annoying."
Yep. None of your
But
business. You owe this to us. They
yeah,
do owe it if they're selling beauty
they're
products, I
selling
think.
beauty products. I agree. But
Yeah.
I just think so. My point is, I don't think that in and of themselves, beauty enhancement, feeling younger can be a bad thing. I think that it can definitely be a rabbit hole and very hard to suck yourself out of. So you kind of need to know where your personality is and I don't know where your weaknesses are. Because like for me, I have like an obsessive personality. I don't know that I could ever suck myself back out. Like I'm like
Yes.
I'm just gonna
Yes.
avoid it altogether. And
Yes.
I genuinely find aging beautiful. So I'm like,
Well, and we all have
anyway,
our line because Coley and I have talked about this because I'm like, I have strong opinions about like some things, but she's like, but you tattoo your eyebrows on. And I'm like, oh, good
exactly,
point. And I'm not opposed to like fake nails and like dyeing
exactly,
my hair. So we all have a line.
exactly.
It's just, yeah, that's just where ours is. So
Yeah.
no hate if you do it. I just think that if you go over the top, it doesn't look good personally. So,
Same. Yeah. Well, and
yeah.
yeah, we've talked about this before, but um your bones underneath your skin start to sag. And so that's why it doesn't look as good when you see like the celebrities that
Yep.
get way too much. You can
Yep.
see that they're aging underneath the skin, even though the skin is young, and
Yep.
tight. It doesn't. It's why it doesn't look as good. So anyway, kind
Yep.
of interesting.
Yep. It's stretched tight over sagging bones. It looks very
Mm-hmm.
unnatural and our eye
Mm-hmm.
knows it. Our
It's
instincts know it.
the creepy part, and why everyone I think keeps doing it is if you stand still and you don't move like this, then you look good.
Yeah.
And so they'll post pictures like that on the internet, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, she looks so young. I'm gonna do that." But I'm like, are you trying to be a doll that doesn't move? Like, is that your goal? It's strange. It's very
Well, and
strange
in
to me.
real life, it's not the same effect. It's grosser. Like, yeah, yeah. I don't care for it. I was
Yeah.
just looking at a video of Katy Perry, and I was like, yeah, she is
Yeah.
so naturally stunning. She should have let that go naturally. But I
Yeah.
I definitely can't judge because their whole job is based on how they look. So that's got to be the most
Mhm.
incredible pressure you could ever feel. But
It is.
I wish someone could be brave enough.
I
Someone
do
really in the limelight.
admire I do admire the ones that stand up for it and don't do it. Anne Hathaway
Hmm.
is actually one of those. She's stunning,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she doesn't touch her face. At least that I can tell. She doesn't really talk
No,
about it,
she
but
probably does it tastefully. Yeah.
she looks very much her age, and she's
Well,
lovely.
yeah. What's funny is she's going to end up being one of the loveliest women in Hollywood, and she was kind of just like somewhere in the middle before, you know? Like
I
she's
think
very
people thought
pretty.
she was very pretty. I think it
Oh,
was just you and me didn't like her
just
acting.
well, I didn't care for her acting, but I always thought she's very pretty. She just has like she doesn't have the it factor. She doesn't have sex appeal. And so I'm like, there were just quite a few celebrities, in my opinion, who just were much more appealing.
Mhm.
But yeah, as she ages, she's going to end up becoming the queen of Hollywood, which is hilarious just by
Yeah,
not getting any work done. I
yeah,
like it.
yeah. It's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, and I don't mean she's ugly. She's 10 times prettier than me. She just like for Hollywood, I didn't think she was. I thought she was just kind of middle road.
I've heard
But
that that's just us being weird because like people are like she is literally a 10 and you're weird, and I'm like I think I
oh,
just don't like her acting, and it just like
yeah, funny. I
it
just don't.
shines through.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, she kind of has like a presence too that feels phony, so I don't really care for that either.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
Because I was
interesting.
like, so I watched that movie I told
People
you
think she's
about.
a 10, a straight up
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
No, they
Like
don't.
yes, they do. So I watched that movie I told you about, the one where she like married or dates that 20-year-old
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Anyway, and I was like, I thought she acted really well in that movie.
yeah.
And that's the first time I've ever seen her where I was like, wow, like she like it made me like her more and kind of think she was prettier. So I'm like, I think acting helps. I don't know. I just
Oh,
feel like
for
in the past, her acting has been so cringy to me. I couldn't. I just like. I just don't. I can't do this.
so I think Vanessa Hudgens is a 10, a solid 10, and she is
Yes.
a terrible
No,
actress.
that's true. That's true.
So
Yeah.
I just don't find, I find Anne Hathaway's features very regular. Like again, out on the streets, she wins all contests. She's so pretty. But in Hollywood, like the competition is like supermodel status, and I just
Yeah.
think to fall in the middle of that makes you very pretty. I'm like, I would
Yeah.
be really
Yeah.
excited about that. But to me, um, you just have people with absolutely exceptional, unearthly beauty around you, and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna look medium comparatively, but
Yeah.
everywhere else she goes, she's gonna be the most beautiful woman in the room. So I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't know, I don't feel that bad for her. She's been blessed with great beauty. I just don't find it as much as as high as everyone else does. I'm
Yeah.
really surprised people find her an absolute 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that a lot. Yeah.
Well,
And
there you
people have
go.
told me like, I think you're just jealous, and I'm like, I
I
don't think
know.
so, because like there's beautiful actresses that I don't feel that jealous. I know what jealousy feels like. I don't think
Yeah.
that I am.
No, I've heard that so many times. Anytime I'm critical of anything, you're just jealous. I'm like, okay,
All right. Well.
sure. Yep. Yep. Like I will openly admit when someone is 10 times prettier than me. I
Yeah.
just don't think that she's that much of a stunner. But anyway, which
Anyway.
is fine. Personality has a lot more to do with it, and I don't really find her
Right.
personality that appealing either.
Right.
So I'm
It's
like,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But
So
I don't know.
speaking of beauty, go ahead.
No, I just was gonna say her acting has improved over the years, which is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it has. I just think she's been miscast. I think there's a whole thing we could go into there. I don't think that she needed to be as terrible as she came across, at least to me. Because that's another thing too that we've learned. Not everyone thinks she's a terrible actress, just us.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't
yeah.
hear very many people say that at all, actually. Like, I'm
Nope.
like, I think we're
Nope.
just the only ones who don't like
Yep.
her
Yep.
acting.
I
That's
just find
weird.
her cringy, but I absolutely adored her in Princess Diaries.
Oh
I thought
yeah,
she was perfect. She was
she was perfect.
hilarious. She was fun. She played with it. I'm like, she
Uh-huh.
just needed to be dorky and not sexy, in my opinion. I don't think
Okay,
she ever
but
should have played
she was sexy and
the coy
serious
role.
in this movie, the new one that she was in. The
Was she
idea of you.
sexy or was she feminine?
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Feminine because she was 40, so she wasn't
Okay,
trying to be sexual. She was just
that's
like,
the thing.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
and you know.
she should have always gone with classy. They did this, and it's not
Yeah.
again not her fault. It's the director's fault. But like in Batman, when she like swings her leg
Oh,
over the bike and her leather and her butt's in the air, I'm like, it just doesn't work.
it
Like,
didn't fit. Yeah.
it's
It's like when I know
like a
people are
little
gonna
kid
hate me
doing
for
that or
this.
something.
People are gonna hate me for this, but it's like when Taylor Swift tries to be sexy. I'm like,
Yes, yes,
I just see like a little band geek, which is fine. Like that's
yeah,
why I love Taylor Swift. She's
yeah,
so relatable and
yeah.
cute. But I'm like, you're just not the like
She
the
doesn't have the it
hey.
factor, which you know what? Neither do I. I was born without it, and so it's always fascinated me. I'm like, I
Born
don't
without it.
have like it's a way you walk and it's a way you talk and
Yeah.
it's something. I don't. It reminds me of Pride and Prejudice. Something her manner of speaking. I'm like, there are
Fearsome
some
creature to
people who are
behold.
just completely born without the it factor. I'm one of them, so I get it. But her and Taylor Swift are totally there in
Yeah.
that category.
Yeah.
They're just not. They don't have sex appeal. They could have like other appeal, but that's just not a thing. Like they don't
Yeah.
give off this like sex vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie and who's that girl who's like a singer now? She's like 5 foot and blonde. Sabrina Carpenter. They're like
Yes.
they've got like sex appeal coming out the wazoo, and they don't really look a ton different than Anne Hathaway or Taylor Swift. A little bit, they're pretty, but like yeah, there's just something. There's just something about it. Either you have it or you don't. I have no
Yeah.
idea what causes that, but anyway, and I just don't think it's that big of a deal to not have it. I'm like, who cares? Just like develop your personality or something.
Yeah.
Do something with your brain. But
This lighting
anyway,
is really bad. Sorry, I look like CGI or something. I can't fix it. I hate everything. It's fine.
it's not
I'm just gonna have
terrible. You can flip around and see if it's better. Like turn your body all the way around, like the.
to. That's my wood pile.
That's fine. It's kind of cool. You're a
It's
down
because
to earth girl who cuts her own wood.
down to earth, right down to the earth.
Right down to it.
It's because I have that exposure thing on, and oops.
Oh,
Anyway,
you can't fix it.
I
Yeah.
can't fix it. It won't let me fix it. So
I
anyway,
bet if it wasn't bouncing off of a white wall, it'd look better. So if you put
that's
yourself
probably
against
true.
like a brown tree trunk or something like that, it might be good.
I don't know. Maybe if I don't know. It's fine.
I
It doesn't
really
matter.
think so. I think the white's killing you. I'd go anywhere but the white.
If I could just fix the stupid lighting, it would be fine. It won't let me do it. I
I
can see
know.
the hate everything.
I know. Go sit against a tree. It'd be pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's funny. It
It's
is
not
though.
weird. I think it's just like appealing. It's like
It is.
who we
Every time
really
you say
are.
appealing, I think of Cinderella story. I'm a very appealing person.
Oh man, I love how we're like, I'm not going to say anything on this podcast I want to say to someone's face. Taylor Swift and Anne Hathaway have no sex appeal, and Andrew Tate's a moron.
I told you
Say
we're
that to my
helpless.
face.
We're helpless. We just have to embrace the fact that we're offensive. But can I sit on my swing?
Yeah, that's actually really cute.
There's a what was I talking? Oh yeah,
That's
there's a
a
YouTube.
great spot. Your lighting's good.
Okay, can I swing? Is that
Yeah,
distracting?
it's cute. Yeah, no, it's cute.
There's this YouTuber. Her channel is called "My Thoughts Will Probably Offend You," and I'm like, that should be what we lean into.
Yeah, it really should be because they are straight up offensive.
I just
I just want
can't.
to lean away from like really strong
Yeah.
opinions about everyday people. Like you should never
Right.
get Botox or you're gross. Like I'm like that's not true. That's not really
Well,
what
I
I think.
actually don't even think that. Yeah.
No,
I
but
tend
it has been very distastefully done, and it
Right.
has been tastefully done. Lean into tastefully if you're into it.
You're right.
Yeah, I know some ladies who get it and they look amazing. They look better than me and they're older than me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they do it right. So I'm like, yep, you can. Just don't go nuts.
You can definitely so
You can go way too far. Okay, here's the thing that I was thinking too. Okay, so so we're back to Disney. Sorry, are you done with that?
No, don't say sorry. That's a literal topic. We just keep
sorry
getting
to go
distracted.
back to the topic we started with. But okay, I was thinking they could do Tarzan, they could do Frozen, they could do Princess and the Frog. They can't. Anastasia isn't Disney, but I'm like, they have billions of dollars. Maybe they could buy the rights or something.
Right?
That would be
Anastasia's
an incredible show.
So good.
Just claim it. Be like, now it's Disney.
Swan Princess would be fun.
Oh, Swan Princess would be so fun. I don't know what the rules are there, if they can or even want to buy something that they didn't put their own stamp on. But I'm like, man, you could do some stuff. So also, Cinderella has had so many retellings that there's an African version called Mufaros, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, Beautiful Daughters. And I read it as a kid, like a illustrated version that was really beautifully done. And the story is a little different. It's like got African culture in it, but it's Cinderella. Yeah. And I'm like, why not? If you have to do that, why not run with that? Like if you want to include a minority, go crazy. Like that would be so cool. And then you don't really have to rewrite a story. It's already written for you. Yeah. You kind of already have Cinderella, and then you could just be like, this is just the African version. That would be amazing. I would take my kids to that. It'd be a great cultural exposure. Like so many things would be good about that they're just being lazy and apologetic, and they need to stop. They need to grow a backbone. Yeah.
I was gonna say too, like with our podcast of being offensive, there was like a what's his name? That guy's a scientist, and I sent you the podcast of him.
Yeah, he's the neuroscientist. He's everywhere. He kind of has like a beard.
Think of his name. Yeah.
Piercing eyes, and
I don't know. I keep thinking really Andrew Tate's like the only name in my head right now. I can't think.
Does he have hair or is he bald? I almost said he has great hair, but I want to say bald.
Oh, maybe he has like short hair. I think I can't remember.
He just has a great beard, so he looks like he has hair. Anyway, everyone knows who he is. He's on every
Andrew Huberman.
Andrew what?
Huberman.
Huberman. Yeah.
Huberman.
He's everywhere.
Anyway, when he does his podcast, if he says something offensive, he'll just like correct it right there instead of like editing it out. And I really like that. I'm like, I actually really, like he said something the other day, and he's like, actually, you know what? I take that back. I have no place saying that. I don't have any experience seeing this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, we could do that, because like you can't be a perfect person and never say anything not rude.
And and we could do that, but we're just rude people. So
lots of editing.
I do have this worldview though of like, if it's honest, it's okay, because that's kind of how we were raised, and I find that that's societally not okay. Like when I just socialize, and I'm like, well, yeah, like obviously, Anne Hathaway's middle of the road pretty, but that's just the fact. Everyone's like, oh, that's so rude, and I'm like, is it? Like, doesn't she know that? I don't know. I feel like you would gotta be aware of where you're at and just be like, sure, like I'm grateful to even be in Hollywood. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe she should just be grateful. Oh, that's how I feel. I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
Uh,
I'm like, Kate, truly though, if you're not born with like goddess beauty, you should be grateful. Yeah, I don't know.
well, that's the thing is like you and I are the only ones who think that. Like people
Apparently,
genuinely think
okay,
she's
she's
like a
not
goddess.
goddess level. I have to argue that. Put her up against
Yeah.
like Angelina. This is mean because I hate for someone to do this to me, but like put her up to like Angelina Jolie. And the reason that and I'm doing this though is not to be a mean girl, but because this is their actual craft is to be
Right.
beautiful, you know. And
Right.
I'm like, she doesn't have nearly the bone structure or the. She has like a different face shape. Angelina Jolie has that perfect heart shaped face. There's a lot of things going for Angelina that Anne Hathaway doesn't have, which is again, Anne Hathaway's beautiful. She just doesn't, to me, she doesn't hold up to like these remarkable rare beauties. I mean, part of the reason they're even in Hollywood is because they're remarkably beautiful.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of like when Sports Illustrated did that controversial cover. You know, it's like these are some of the most athletic women in the entire world. You can't just throw up an average woman and be like, she's there too. I'm like, no, she's not.
Right.
Truthfully, she's just not. I don't think she's ugly, but she's not there
Right.
with the other women. And
Right.
if we're celebrating this great athleticism, that's just a lie. That's just not the truth.
Well, and that's kind of
So,
like the controversy around the Victoria's Secret show or whatever.
yes.
Apparently people like to watch it. I've never watched. I just find the whole thing weird.
I do not understand why anyone will watch that. It's
anyway,
sorry.
but like they apparently people like to watch it because of their like godlike beauty. Like they're like,
yeah.
I know I'll never attain it. It's just fascinating to watch. I just want to watch it.
And I can understand.
So when they throw in like it's just like
average people,
not even average. Like average, I'd be okay with.
Below
honestly.
average, yeah.
Because I'd be like, okay, that kind of looks like me. That's kind of nice to see someone that looks like me. And then you have a godlike beauty, and then it's like mixed up. I wouldn't mind that. But they throw like the most random, like almost extreme woke that you possibly can.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
which maybe
me.
just
And I'm
to
like,
us isn't beautiful. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway.
Well, they say like go woke, go ugly. You know, have you heard that one? Like,
I've heard go broke, but
well, yeah, go broke. But they have this whole thing about like as soon as you go woke, you just turn really ugly. And I'm like, it's true because like they'll dye their hair crazy colors and butch it, and a lot of them gain weight.
Yeah,
like, not everyone, but
if you really believe in the patriarchy makes you shave and put makeup on and curl your
you're
hair.
gonna do a lot of unfeminine things, which societally, but still, I'm like, I mean, in my view, that's it's ugly. So I'm like, okay, but teach their own. But if you're trying to like win crowds over with this new idea of beauty, it's not working. At least not me. Like I feel like this is like Emperor's New Clothes. Like you just have to be like, nope, sorry, that's just not true.
You're not wearing clothes, so
you're just naked. I just cannot look at that and say beautiful. Sorry.
Which is ironic because Victoria's Secret
that is ironic. Where are your clothes?
Wait
Victoria,
a minute.
You little slut.
I know your secret.
You're a dude who lives in Ohio.
Yeah. I like that song.
I do too.
She got in a lot of trouble for that, and she kind of like caused the movement, which is funny because I'm not sure she was doing what they did.
No, you're cutting in and out of sound. I don't know if that's just on my end.
It might be because I'm outside.
Okay. Yeah, you might want to just get a little closer. What was I gonna say about that? I don't. What flack did she catch for that? They just were mad at her.
The actual company reached out to her and was like, we ask that you respectfully take your song down, and we're gonna try and change. And she's like,
respect this. No, I'm just
kidding. Yeah. Anyway, I'm okay.
Yeah, that's
I actually personally never liked Victoria's Secret or the idea of it at all. I thought it was creepy and weird and gross. That is my opinion, but I lived a very sheltered life and we never went into that store. I still don't as an adult because I find it degrading and like just
I find their advertising degrading. I like their degrading.
Yeah, I like you go in there and you're like, okay, I guess I'm just I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I think it's weird and it caters to young girls, which I also don't like, and there's just a lot of things that I've never liked about the company. Well, but, I definitely don't like the woke turn they took. I'm like, just don't be a company. Maybe that's a better idea.
Yeah. I still can't hear you. You're breaking in and out for some reason.
No, don't say that.
I'm so sorry. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I used
Because
to think that was bearer of bad news. Did you too? Is that me? Is that
bear,
everyone?
like a
Yeah.
bear.
Yeah, like a bear.
No,
Like why is the bear, what does the
the
bear have
bear,
to do with
the
it? What did
bear
he
of
do
bad
to you?
news.
Yeah. I thought that for many more years than I care to admit.
Emily, our cousin, used to think that when you say it gave me pause, like she thought it was like animal pause. She's
I
like, I
love
don't
our
get
boy.
that at all.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I'm
I
like
don't
completely
understand
washed
this
out.
phrase. Why does it give you pause?
Why do you have pause now?
Explain this to me. I love it. Oh my
I
gosh.
love her so freaking much. I wish
She's
she'd listen to
so
this
funny.
so
I
that
wish she'd listen to us too. I wish she'd join us. Oh,
then she would
she's
know that I
10
love her.
times the podcaster we are. Are you
Oh
kidding me?
my gosh.
She
I
put us
love
to
her
shame.
so much. I
She's
saw her
so
at the
clever.
grandpa's funeral and I was like, oh, I miss you so much. I need you back in my life.
I seriously, she ran circles around us, which is not hard, but around you, that's kind of hard. Around me, it's not. But
which is
she
not
was
hard.
so witty. Yeah.
Yeah, she's
She
hilarious.
kept me laughing all the time. I miss her.
Anyway, I do too.
Anyway, what was I gonna say? Okay, so I do want to go on this little tangent of why Cinderella was so good. You want to hear it?
Okay, yes. Sorry, I've
Okay.
changed my office 4 times now, but the stupid light, that's all from this.
It's fine.
Anyway.
I will, you know me, and I will literally talk for 4 hours. So when you're done and ready, we need to end this thing because I will just,
Okay.
I will never shut up.
What time is it? We've been on for an hour and a half. I'm okay. I've got the cartoon on for the girls. It's Friday. We're not homeschooling today. I think we're gonna be okay.
Okay. You just stopped me with this time. So
like, all right, 4 hours later.
4 hours later. We really could break all records for like the longest listened to podcast because we never shut up. And I'm not being like everyone's interested in us, but it is fascinating to listen to a real conversation and not like an edited, like contrived.
That goes that long? Like it's fascinating that you don't shut up.
It'd be fascinating to see if people would listen to us for 4 hours, you know? Like we should do like a special
science experiment.
Yeah, we'll just do we'll just talk until we're absolutely done, like once a month, and just see if people would tune into the whole thing. It'd be so funny.
It would be
did
indeed.
You know that Lord of the Rings was written that way? Like he wanted to see if he could write something so long and people would actually read it.
What? No way.
Yeah, like part of it, part of the reason. He had other reasons. He was brilliant, but I don't like his books, but I think he's brilliant. But anyway, he that was one of his things. He's like, I wonder if people would read this if I just kept going, and they totally did. And I'm like,
that's
no,
hilarious.
We could change podcasting.
We could be Lord of the Rings of podcasts.
Yeah, because we're that smart. We could create a world in our own language and layer it with history. I'm sitting here pitching my ideas to Disney, so dreams come true. You never know.
Dreams come true. Disney, listen up. For a podcast of my mom.
Yeah, exactly. Mom, listen, I'm a genius.
Okay, I've moved this 14 times. The sun is like directly on my mouth. So this is just
you look pretty. You just look like a hippie out in the sun, like a pretty way. Let's do that.
Let's do that. All right. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep moving until I can figure out. Keep talking.
Find your spot.
Everyone's gonna be like, I'm so distracted. Sit down.
Sit still. Down. So here's the thing about Cinderella. Okay. I found out. Get this. This is gonna just be like, yep, everything makes sense now. The director was British, Mal.
Okay, that's why.
That's why. They are so much smarter than us. And they're not as annoying. Why?
They are because they're British.
Okay, that's it. That's the answer. So I have heard from interviews with Emily Blunt and other sources like that. I don't know if this is a real thing, but celebrities aren't worshipped in the UK.
Okay.
And they're
almost
okay. They're almost looked down on. Not quite, but I think there's kind of this culture there of well, if you're an actor, it's because you couldn't do anything else or something like that.
Okay.
I don't really know. It's a medium shameful vocation. Maybe not as much now.
I've heard that their royalty is who they worship, and in the United States, it's our celebrities.
Right. And that totally makes sense. And so when you're in acting, you're in it because you're talented. It's not because you're a sex object, or I can't even think of one who's yep, you were just there for your boobs. I can't think of one British actress like that.
Okay, but I don't know very many though, to be fair.
Yes, you do. Maggie Smith, who just passed away, Emma Thompson,
Wait,
Emily
just passed
Blunt.
away? Who's Maggie
Maggie
Smith?
Smith, yeah, she's McGonagall, and she's in
She just
everything.
died?
Yeah, I know. She's a
I
legend.
love her.
I
That's
know.
not allowed.
I know. And guess what? We loved her because she was incredible at her craft. That's the
She was
thing.
so good.
America does it wrong. We just grab the nearest sex object and tell everyone they're good. We just gaslight everyone. I'm like, it's so crappy.
Yeah, you're so right.
Yep. Because even your Angelina Jolies, in my opinion, do not hold a candle to Emily Blunt and Emma
No,
Thompson. Yeah.
no.
So, as
I
far as
think
their skill goes, they're beautiful. But
right.
yep.
I'm trying to think of like the best American woman actress.
Jennifer Lawrence is pretty darn versatile. She's good.
Good. There are good
Not
ones.
as,
I know there are.
not
I
as
just can't think of them right
experienced.
now.
I know, like your heavy hitters, like your legends. But honestly, like the Queen of Hollywood is Angelina Jolie. She's our legend. And I'm like, she's okay. Like she's
right as far as
stunning,
acting goes.
right. Like we're just looking at this objectively. It's pretend you can't even see her. She's
Mm-hmm.
okay actress. She's not that great. Yeah, she's not cringy. I like watching her, but
what is that woman? What's that girl's name in Pretty Woman? Everyone loved her. I didn't think she was a good actress at all.
yeah.
What's her name?
Yeah. Yeah, I know who you mean.
Yeah.
Not Jennifer Aniston. She's another one's kind of.
She's okay. Again, I'm like, I don't understand why everyone loves her. Even in Friends, I didn't think she was funny or anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, she's kind of just got these like canned lines, and she's
just
pretty.
there. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get. Friends has got to be nostalgic because I don't understand that one.
I don't get that one either, but I'm like, I've got my shows that no one would understand.
You have to start it when you're young, I think. Because
I think
I didn't start it till I was in college and married, and I was just like, I do not know why people like this movie.
Yeah, it just gives you like the nostalgia butterflies probably, and it's some people do enjoy, like kind of like how I like getting on YouTube for this reason. They enjoy a sitcom that isn't it's just kind of like silly and light, so they can just relax. So I'm like, it's like the play in the background show, which I get. I have my YouTube, but yeah. Okay. Anyway, so the director was British. I looked up an interview with him. His name is Kenneth Brana. I don't know. I'm too American. I can't say his last name. It's Branagh. Brano, maybe. Anyway, Branagh. Just kidding.
Branagh.
But anyway, definitely look him up and watch an interview with him. He's just a beautiful soul. He's well spoken. He's classy. He was married to Emma Thompson, Mal. He's married to Emma Thompson, which she says is like a monster, so maybe he's not that cool, but...
Wait, who's a monster? She said he was a monster?
I think so. They got divorced and he like broke her heart and stuff, so...
But he's good at directing.
Dude, so what's so crazy about that is, so he's an Irish-born English director. He's a writer known for his film adaptation of Shakespearean plays. That's where he's at, and he took on Cinderella. And
why is he not in charge of everything?
Why can't we have him? Why couldn't he do Beauty and the Beast? Why couldn't he do Beauty and the Beast?
Don't even get me started on Beauty and the freaking Beast.
I'm so upset what you did to Belle. You ruined the best princess.
There's a British actress that is awful. I cannot stand her acting. I cannot stand it.
Shots fired. She's terrible.
She's not Vanessa Hudgens cringy, but man, she's bad. I don't like her at all.
I don't think that she's stuck on herself the way that American actresses are. Like, she doesn't think that she's like the one of the goddesses of the world. But
yeah.
At least that's how she comes across. She seems a little more down to earth than the rest of them. I actually do kind of like her, even though she's like on the feminist train and they seem to have brainwashed her. I'm like, there's something about her that's a little deeper than your American actresses. Not all of them, but... Oh, I lost you. I lost you, and you are lost to me. There you are.
I wanted to see if it fixed my lighting, and it did. I'm so happy.
Oh, good. Are we still, like, going, and this is still a thing, and everything's good? We're recording? Are we recording?
It's recording.
Okay.
It is.
Hey, we're having a conversation.
It'll work. It worked before, so it'll be fine.
Okay. Oh, yeah, your lighting.
And every time I do that, it restarts the clock, so it looks like we've only been talking for like 5 minutes.
There you go. Now we don't feel like psychos.
It's like 4 hours. We're like,
I know. I'm sorry.
30 minutes.
It's me, not you. Okay, so he's a Shakespearean play director. This is the crazy part, though. Mark Romanek, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, is an American director. He did
Did he
some
do Beauty and
movies
the
I've
Beast?
no, probably. He did some movies I've never even heard of. He wanted to take Cinderella dark. Like what a well, I don't want to say loser because that's a little strong since I don't know him, but what a loser. No, I'm just
What do
kidding.
you mean dark?
All I read was he was going to direct Cinderella and he stepped away from the project because the studio was like, you're taking this way too dark, man. And he's like, this is where I want to go artistically. And they're like, okay. And so they parted ways. And then they went and found this British director. He made it the best live action that's ever been. It made them 400.
What
He made them $400
I don't
million.
I don't
Go with the
understand.
Brits every time.
Right. I don't understand like the
Gosh.
math there. Like you think like the accountant would be like, math.
I like
Cinderella
money. Let's follow the
Cinderella
money.
made $400 million. Even if they had to pay that guy like $2 million
Yep.
just to
Yep.
do it, it would be
I'm sure
worth
it's
it.
more than that.
I'm like,
Yep.
I don't understand.
I don't understand. That guy should be like a god in Hollywood now too. And I'm like, I don't even know what other things he's done. And when you watch his interview, oh, it's so beautiful, Mal. You need to go look up his interview about Cinderella. He talks about feminism and her character and the artistic choices he made on purpose to make her strong but feminine. He gets it. He gets women, and
British people do.
I
Americans don't.
know, except for Emma Watson.
We
but
were
it's
meant
okay.
to be born in the UK.
I know. We have British envy so bad.
I really
Anyway, we're not cool enough to be there, but we definitely admire them. Oh man, as soon as the minute I heard him talk and he had a British accent, I was like, that's why it was great. Yep. And then you watch his interview, and anyway, okay, so this is what I would challenge our listeners to do. Go look up Kenneth Branagh, whatever, Branagh. Watch his interview about Cinderella. Then go look up a Mark Romanek interview, any interview you want. Romanek.
What did he direct?
I couldn't even tell you.
So why would
Some weird movie I've never even heard of. Okay, but he was gonna go and look up an interview with him and an interview side by side with Kenneth, and watch both of them, and then you just come to your own conclusions. And that is all I'm gonna say because I would get really mean if I started talking about Marky Mark.
Yeah.
Yep. But seriously, it would be fascinating. I watched them side by side, and I was like, wow, we're headed to utter destruction. So, so then, what was I gonna say? Okay, so then I went out down this rabbit hole, and I was like, who's directing Snow White? Who's running this into the ground? Mark Webb directed The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, the best Spider-Man that's ever been made.
I loved that one. Why did they quit? I feel like they killed Emma Stone and they're like the end. I was like, wait, what?
No, I think they finished the series.
Did they finish it?
I think they did. I don't really know. But that one, yeah, the fact that she died at the end, that one is so good. Mark Webb is my hero. I love that Spider-Man. I love how it was cast. I love how it was written. I love everything.
Yes. Emma Stone's a great American actress. I love her.
Oh, good point. I love her too.
She's amazing.
Yep. And not quite the sex object that the rest of them are. She's kind of got her own thing.
I kind of wonder if that isn't a theme a little bit. When they don't identify with their beauty, they kind of tend to lean into their craft more. Maybe that's just a
maybe that's just a life thing though. Like you actually have to have a personality if you're not stunning, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go develop a personality. Oh, my phone only has 10%, so that will be our.
Okay, that'll be our end. Anyway, I think what happened is Mark Webb picked Zegler, and he was like, she looks white, but she also fills our quota. Perfect. She's talented. I mean, that was, in my opinion, super well cast. Like that's exactly what I would have done if they were like, you have to pick a Latina, and I'd be like, perfect. She looks like Snow White, you know?
Yeah.
And she's got all the talent and everything. So like,
I actually think she's a great actress too. Yeah,
she's everything. She just has a really off-putting personality, or at the very least, a very off-putting way of presenting herself. Since I don't know her personally, I can't say, but like everything I've watched of her, I'm like, whoa, she's cringy. Yeah. She just says mean things. Like she comes across very much as a mean girl. And you're like, okay, I don't care for you.
We should talk about freaking Blake Lively. That reminds me of Mean Girls. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, she's an interesting one.
We should talk about that when we talk about that podcast I sent you about internet culture because
Okay.
that will lead into that.
Okay,
Anyway.
that would be fascinating. You know what the thing is too? Is I'm like, I don't even care what you guys do behind the scenes. Half of you are so crazy. Who even cares? Just do your job well. She was amazing in You Before Me, not
Did
You
you
Before Me,
watch
but
it?
yeah, what's that called?
I never watched it, so
It's it's fine. The whole story is a little weird, but
I don't really love like when we celebrate things like domestic abuse. I know they're not celebrating it. In
it
fact,
wasn't
I think
celebrated.
I think the point of it was to like bring awareness, whatever. I
It
just feel
was.
like I don't know that like watching that is good for our
I
minds.
didn't
I
think
don't
it was
know.
celebrated. I actually think they were making some really good points in there.
Okay.
I just think that the sex was over the top. They dumped it down a lot, which is fine. I just was like, ugh. And then the story itself of like the way they didn't have chemistry, which you totally get knowing now what went on behind the scenes. I think he couldn't stand her. And so like anytime they touch, you can kind of tell you're like, ee. They just
Yeah.
have like negative chemistry. So that sucked. And then the other guy, her other like love triangle guy, yeah, no chemistry with her from either of them, and I think that's her personality's fault. So I wouldn't have understood that watching it, but now knowing what went on behind the scenes, I think they were just like, I can do this, I'm professional, you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, zero actual attraction there. So that came across. Anyway,
Anyway, sorry, we don't have to talk about that. I just was thinking about Mean
yeah,
Girls.
I just was going off on that because I really don't care what they do in their personal lives until they start holding it up as a standard, and then I care. But other than that, I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you're crazy. You're in Hollywood. How could you not be?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Um. Okay. Anyway, my whole take on the Zegler, is that her name? The Zegler girl. What's her name again?
Rachel Zegler.
I want to call her Vanessa Zegler. What is it?
Rachel.
Rachel Zegler. She, I think she was told these are your talking points. Make sure you say it every time you're in an interview. And then she did, but with a lot of gusto instead of
Yeah.
charm and like a little bit of grace and just kind of in like a get out of my way, I'm in front kind of attitude. And then it was really off putting. And then everyone turned on like the wokeness too, which they should have. But anyway, and they turned on her, and I'm like, that's not really fair. She's kind of this young actress that they're just like, make sure you say this, and she just said it in a very, very passionate way. So I'm like, they're the ones who directed her to do that 100%. Those were not her words. You hear it from all the actresses in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So,
Well, anytime anyone is in their 20s and has a large platform, I kind of feel like they say things they will regret later. So I kind of give
yeah,
them a little grace because I'm like,
yeah.
you're just not developed yet. Like I was thinking about that quote from Fahrenheit 451, which is the book that we're reading this
Yeah,
month.
let's segue right into that. That's good.
Yeah. By the way, if you guys want to read Fahrenheit 451 with us, you can join our book club and read. We're gonna read for a month, except for we already started. So how long are we doing this? We're just gonna do like
Let's make this our first week, and then we'll do
like the
4
month of
weeks.
October.
Yeah, month of October. Read Fahrenheit 451.
Which makes sense because never mind, it doesn't make sense. I was gonna try and make it like a Halloween theme, but it doesn't. It's like
It
fire
totally
and
makes sense because it has fire in it. So
scary.
don't ask
Anyway,
questions, just roll.
just read it. Anyway, so one of the quotes in that was this old guy saying, "I shoved my ignorance in people's faces in my 20s with one stick, and then by the time I was in my 40s, it had been sharpened." So he's like, "Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Like, go out there, put yourself out there. You're gonna make mistakes, and people will sharpen it, by experience, basically." So anyway,
Yep.
point is like, give her grace. She's probably gonna regret this later, and
Yeah. I
she's
mean,
young, so.
honestly, kind of like our podcast. I'm sure
Oh
after the
yeah,
40 episodes in, we're gonna look at the first
yeah,
ones and be like, wow, you were
yeah,
ignorant, or
yeah,
we were
yeah.
whatever. But I mean, you
We
gotta
should,
start somewhere.
yeah, we should call this
So,
the "People We Judge and Regret It Later" podcast.
hey, for real. I'm like, I even feel kind of guilty for saying Andrew Tate didn't have a mom. That made me feel kind of sad. I'm like, he probably really didn't. But
He did.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no one knows anything, but that who knows? Who knows their story? So I think once people become public figures though, you're like, well, you have a really toxic personality, so stop talking. But I'm like, yeah, I mean, anyone who disagrees with us, which is gonna be a lot of people, are gonna say the exact same things. And I'm like, yeah,
I know.
Grace, I guess.
Man, people are so opinionated online. Like I was like, I posted this question on like it was a Missouri homeschool forum. And so it's got like
Yeah.
30,000 members or something. Like it's a big old
Yeah.
forum. And I posted this question about like having your kids involved in electives in the school, public schools or not. I was just curious if people had done it. And like most people were nice, but there were some people who were like it actually, like they're just so unnecessarily
Venomous.
rude. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I don't understand how that's rude at all. Like they were just like, this is not an elective, this is a course. And if they're late, there's a truancy. And like, blah, blah, blah. And like, possibly they don't know how to use like emojis and punctuation to make it sound friendly. They might just be old. Like some old people do that. Like they'll be
They're
like,
just really bold in how they
yeah.
say it.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my. Anyway, but it just makes me wonder like why people are so strongly about things that don't matter. But here we are doing that very thing.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing.
So
I think like it does surprise me when like that's just a local level, like it doesn't affect your life even a tiny bit. But I'm like, when it's culture and it actually does affect the tide of culture, I don't know. I feel like that's rather an important topic, maybe not way important, but it does change the way people view the world and think and treat each other. So I'm like, yeah, I like diving into culture, but
I think this is fun to talk about. It's okay. I mean, we're not like the only ones with opinions on the internet. You know what I mean? Like there's millions of people who say things that are more offensive and more opinionated than we ever will. So I'm like, we're just gonna have to dive in.
I think I just don't want to be vicious. I'm like, if my actual honest opinion offends you, oh well. Oh, did I lose you?
No.
Oh, there you are. Can't hear you.
I don't see you. Oh, there you are.
There you are. I can hear you. I thought your phone died, and I was like, gah, 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 gah. Anyway, what else? Fahrenheit 451. Where are you at in that?
Okay, so about halfway through, I got to the
Can't
part where
hear
he has to
you.
burn his own
Shoot.
house.
This thing is.
Anyway,
something's happening because now I'm the only one here again. Hello.
You know, this is just part of our podcast.
And she's back. Now I can hear you again.
Okay. Anyway, I just got to the part where he had to burn his own books. The fire chief is like making him go burn his own house or whatever, and his wife left him. And I had a part in there that just gave me chills. I was like,
crap,
I forgot about this book.
On?
But I've read it before several times, but I was just like, oh my gosh, I forgot all these things. But oh no,
gonna have to report you.
Connecting with you. It's too hard. It's too emotional for me. Break up. We get back together. Come back.
My makeup is smeared. It's crazy because I just put it on.
Hey, Daddy.
Hello.
Stop it.
Hey, I think that our podcast is over.
Might be the fact that we both live
Mallory
in
is
towns
gone.
with bad service.
If you guys wait long enough, she comes back. What the heck is going on?
I can hear you.
What is going on?
Hear me. Huh?
What's going on?
I don't know.
Yeah, it probably is my service. It probably is. My house has terrible service.
I was just rambling, filling the time.
So was I. I'm like, our podcast is going to be really interesting. We're both just like talking to no one. Anyway, read Fahrenheit 451. It's so good. It relates very much to our current political situation. It's all about censorship and oh my goodness. This is very annoying. Let us not use Riverside anymore because it sucks. Want to see my pretty nails? I did them myself. I like them. They will not last very long. Hello.